Most people think a promotion is the moment life starts getting easier. It isn't. For a lot of people, a promotion is the exact moment they become easier to trap. Because the second your income goes up, everything around you starts reaching for it. The nicer apartment, the newer car, the better clothes, the "I deserve it" dinners, the small upgrades that don't feel reckless at all. And that's why so many people get promoted, make more money than ever, and somehow feel even more stuck 6 months later. Look, if you've ever gotten a raise and thought, "Wait, why does my life still feel tight?" You are not crazy, and you are definitely not bad with money. You're just running into one of the most expensive financial illusions in America: the idea that a bigger paycheck automatically creates wealth. It doesn't. In a lot of cases, it just creates bigger fixed costs. And bigger fixed costs do not make you richer. They make you easier to break. Here's the trap. A promotion changes your identity before it changes your net worth. Once your title goes up, your brain starts whispering that your life should match it. Suddenly, the old apartment feels a little embarrassing. The old car feels a little temporary. The cheap lunch feels a little below the new version of you. So you upgrade. Not because you're stupid. Because it feels reasonable. It feels earned. It feels like progress. But what feels like progress and what builds wealth are often two very different things. Take Ashley. She's 31, lives in Dallas, and works in operations for a healthcare company. She gets promoted from coordinator to manager. Her salary goes from $78,000 to $88,000. On paper, that sounds huge. $10,000. New chapter. Finally some room. Her parents are proud. Her friends congratulate her. LinkedIn acts like she just crossed into a new species of adulthood. And Ashley tells herself what a lot of people tell themselves in that moment. Okay, now I can finally loosen up a little. So she makes a few upgrades. Nothing wild. Nothing obviously stupid. She moves into a nicer apartment because she works too hard to still feel cramped. She trades in her older sedan for a compact SUV because she's driving more and wants something that feels more in line with her new role. She spends a little more on clothes because she's in more meetings now. A little more on takeout because she gets home later. A little more on convenience because the new job is more demanding. And this is where the whole thing flips. Because Ashley thinks she got a raise. What she actually got was a smaller gap between what she earns and what she owes. She looks more successful. She feels more successful. But financially, she is standing on thinner ice. That's what makes this so dangerous. Promotions usually do not hurt people with one dumb decision. They hurt people with 5 polished decisions that all sound responsible. That's why this trap is so hard to notice while it's happening. Nobody wakes up and says, "Today I'm going to destroy my margin." They just say yes to things that seem like logical next steps. And margin is the whole game. Not income. Not titles. Margin. The gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap is what becomes your emergency fund. That gap is what gets invested. That gap is what lets you survive a layoff, cover a surprise bill, walk away from a bad boss, or make a move without panicking. When that gap gets wider, life gets stronger. When it gets thinner, life gets louder. More stress. More dependency. More financial fragility dressed up like success. This is why so many people making decent money still feel broke. They assume the problem must be that they need to earn more. Sometimes they do. But often the real problem is that every increase in income gets assigned a job before it ever has the chance to strengthen the foundation. The raise shows up, and it is already gone. Already promised to higher rent, higher transportation costs, higher expectations, higher lifestyle maintenance. That word matters too, maintenance. A lot of people are not spending more to improve their lives. They're spending more to maintain a new standard that now has to be fed every month. And once that happens, your money stops creating freedom and starts feeding overhead. You are no longer buying joy. You are servicing a version of your life that now requires constant funding. That is one of the biggest hidden differences between people who look wealthy and people who are actually building wealth. The people building wealth often look less impressive at first. Their car still looks normal. Their apartment still looks normal. Their vacations still look pretty normal. But underneath that, the gap is widening. Cash is building. Investments are building. Optionality is building. And optionality is real wealth. Because real wealth is not about looking upgraded. It is about being harder to corner. If your company restructures, can you breathe? If your car breaks down, does it become a crisis? If your rent jumps, can you absorb it? If your boss becomes unbearable, can you survive the transition? If the answer is no, then income alone has not solved the real problem. It just made the packaging look better. And here is where promotions become almost unfair. The raise happens once, but the obligations repeat forever. The emotional high of getting promoted lasts maybe a week, maybe a month. The bills you create from that feeling can last years. So one short burst of pride can lock you into a very long stretch of pressure. That is a brutal trade. And almost nobody warned you when you are closest to making it. When you are underpaid, everyone says the same thing: earn more, negotiate better, get promoted, level up. And yes, income matters. But once income rises, the conversation should change. It should become about capture. How much of the new money do you actually keep? How much of the raise survives contact with your lifestyle? How much of your improved earning power gets converted into assets instead of appearances? That is the real test. Because there are two versions of a promotion. The first version is the one most people imagine: bigger paycheck, nicer life, visible upgrades, maybe a little more comfort. The second version is less exciting at first, but far more powerful: bigger paycheck, same basic life, wider margin, stronger balance sheet, less dependency, more control. One version gets applause faster. The other version gets freedom faster. And most people choose applause without realizing they made a choice at all. Go back to Ashley. In version 1, she upgrades quickly. The apartment goes up. The car goes up. The convenience spending goes up. The pressure goes up. Now she needs the new paycheck just to support the new baseline. She is not climbing. She is balancing. In version 2, she does something that sounds boring but changes everything. She keeps her life almost exactly the same for one full year. Same apartment. Same car. Same basic standard of living. She lets the promotion exist financially before she lets it exist visually. And now the math gets interesting. Instead of spending the extra money, she captures it. Some goes into her emergency fund until she has real breathing room. Some goes into her 401k. Some goes into a Roth IRA. Some goes toward paying off the last of her high-interest debt. Suddenly, the promotion is not just making her life look different. It is making her financial position different. That is the rule almost nobody talks about. When your income rises, your lifestyle should rise slower. Much slower. Not because you never deserve better things. Not because you should not enjoy your progress. But because the first job of a raise is not to impress your current self. It is to protect your future self. That is the part people skip. They treat the raise like a reward, when the smarter move is to treat it like leverage. And leverage only works if you aim it at the right thing. The right thing is not the visible upgrade. The right thing is financial resilience. More cash. More investing. Less debt. More room. More time. Less dependence on every single paycheck. The goal is to make your life sturdier before you make it shinier. because shiny can wait. Fragility cannot. This matters even more because promotions often come with hidden inflation that has nothing to do with rent or car payments. More responsibility usually means more stress, more decisions, more exhaustion, less mental bandwidth. And when your job takes more out of you, your spending changes. You order more food because you're tired. You pay for convenience because time feels tighter. You justify little rewards because the role feels heavier. None of this shows up in the promotion letter, but it absolutely shows up in your bank account. That is one of the sneakiest parts of the trap. Even if you do not make huge visible upgrades, your daily friction spending can quietly rise just because the promotion changed your energy. So now the raise gets absorbed from two directions. Fixed costs on one side, stress spending on the other, which means the promotion that looked like forward motion can actually leave you feeling more pinned down than before. That is why people say, "I'm making more than I ever have, but I still feel broke." That feeling is real, and it usually comes from one of two things. Either their fixed costs rose too fast, or their life got more expensive in all the subtle ways that never feel serious in the moment. Here's the thing. Wealth is rarely destroyed by dramatic mistakes. It is usually dissolved by normalized ones. That is why the middle class gets hit so hard by this stuff. The mistakes are respectable. The car is reasonable. The apartment is reasonable. The dinners are reasonable. The vacation is reasonable. The problem is not the individual decision. It is the stack. It is what happens when 10 reasonable upgrades all start billing the same paycheck. Then suddenly the promotion is not expanding your freedom. It is just financing your new maintenance plan. And that is a miserable way to live, because it looks good from the outside but feels tight from the inside. You have the title, but not the peace. You have the nicer life, but less room to hold it together. You have more income, but somehow less psychological safety. That mismatch is exhausting. So what should people actually do? First, when you get promoted, do nothing dramatic for 90 days. Seriously? No apartment upgrade. No car upgrade. No celebration purchase that permanently raises your monthly expenses. Let the new paycheck hit a few times. See what the real increase actually is after taxes, benefits, and deductions. See what the new job is doing to your energy and your spending habits before you redesign your life around it. That pause is powerful because it breaks the emotional momentum. It keeps you from confusing the feeling of advancement with the math of advancement. Second, capture at least half of the raise automatically. Not manually. Automatically. If the raise adds $600 a month to your take-home pay, at least $300 of that should disappear into something useful before you get used to seeing it. Increase your 401k. Set up an automatic transfer to savings. Fund the Roth IRA. Build the emergency fund. Pay down the ugly debt. The exact vehicle can vary. The principle should not. Because if you do not tell your money where to go, your lifestyle will. And lifestyle is fast. Wealth is slow. Fast wins unless you build a system. Third, choose one upgrade, not 5. One meaningful improvement that genuinely improves your life without chaining you to a giant monthly obligation. Maybe that is hiring cleaners twice a month. Maybe it is better groceries. Maybe it is replacing a terrible mattress. Maybe it is paying for convenience that gives you time back without locking you into years of overhead. The point is not to reject enjoyment. The point is to stop acting like every promotion needs a full external rebrand. Because it doesn't. In fact, one of the smartest things you can do after a promotion is become visually boring for a little while. Let your bank account be the thing that changes first. That sounds simple, but it is one of the biggest forks in the road in adult financial life. People think wealth is built in huge moments. It usually isn't. It is built in the quiet seasons right after income rises, when nobody would blame you for upgrading everything, but you quietly don't. That is when the future starts changing. Imagine Ashley captures $800 a month from her promotion instead of spending it. Year 1, that doesn't look dramatic. Nobody is impressed. But a few years later, she has cash, investments, and breathing room. She has options. She has less panic. She has less dependence on every paycheck clearing on time. That is the kind of move that looks unimpressive in year 1 and brilliant in year 10. And honestly, that is what maturity with money starts to look like. Less reacting. More structuring. Less proving. More building. Because once you understand this, promotions stop being purely good news. They become tests. Tests of whether you are going to use more income to buy a better image or a stronger position. And the stronger position wins every time, even if it feels slower at first. That is the hard part. It feels slower. Watching other people upgrade faster than you will mess with your head. Seeing people celebrate every raise with a new lease, a new car, a new neighborhood, a new trip, a new aesthetic, it can make you feel behind. But a lot of people who look ahead are just more aggressively financed. That is not the same thing as being ahead. Looking upgraded is not the same thing as being secure. In America, those two things get confused constantly. People assume visible comfort equals financial strength. A lot of the time, it just equals higher burn rate. And high burn rate is dangerous because one disruption can throw the whole machine into panic. That is why the people who are truly winning often look weirdly normal. Their lives do not scream success. Their finances whisper control. They have cash. They have margin. They have low panic. They can take a hit without everything collapsing. That is what money is supposed to do. It is supposed to reduce fear, not just increase aesthetics. So the next time a promotion comes through, do not ask the question most people ask, which is, "What can I finally upgrade?" Ask the better question, "What can I finally secure? Can I build a real emergency fund? Can I finally raise my retirement contributions? Can I get rid of the debt that has been charging me rent inside my own life? Can I create enough room that one bad month does not feel like an emergency?" That is what a promotion is for. Not to prove you made it, to make you harder to shake. And once you start seeing promotions this way, your whole relationship with money changes. More income stops feeling like permission to consume and starts feeling like an opportunity to fortify. You stop chasing the emotional high of the upgrade and start chasing something way better. Calm. Real calm. The kind that comes from knowing your life is not balanced on the next paycheck clearing on time. That is the version of success nobody photographs well, which is probably why so many people ignore it. But it is the version that actually changes your life. Because the real flex is not the title. It is not the car. It is not the apartment. It is not the curated evidence that your salary went up. The real flex is margin. The real flex is options. The real flex is not needing every dollar you earn to maintain the story you are trying to tell. That is why promotions do not automatically make you rich. They reveal whether you understand how wealth is actually built. So take the raise. Take the win. Be proud of it. You earned that. But then do something a little colder than people expect. Pause. Hold the line. Let your old life stay intact just long enough for your new income to actually change your position. Because if you can do that, a promotion stops being a trap. It becomes leverage.